y'all. So we got to get into this story. We have a young lady, and she tells her little story time about how she ghosted her boyfriend right before New Year's Eve because her boyfriend did not allow her to stay with him because she had just lost her job. All right, so let's get into it, and thank you guys for watching.
So I ghosted my boyfriend on New Year's Eve, and I have not spoken to him since. Me and my boyfriend, we have been together for a year. Well, almost a year, 11 months. A year on February 2nd, we will have been together, okay? My boyfriend is also 34, grown man. He also is a homeowner, has a pretty good job, and also has a business that he's starting. So let's start there, right? So recently, I obviously, like you all have known, I've become unemployed, and I have not been able to find a job. I have put in like 30 applications a day. I've got nothing, like barely even an interview. I've gone on 2 interviews. So I've been literally struggling, and I no longer have the funds to afford these bills. Okay. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna keep it together for this. I'm not gonna get stressed out. I no longer have the funds to afford these bills. It's something so crazy about having hundreds of thousands of dollars one day and then the next day having nothing. But that's what's going on right now. And so I am vulnerable with my man, and I go, hey, I'm gonna need to like stay with you for a little while I get myself together. Like, I don't have anything on the rent, and so I'm gonna need to move with you while I get myself together. Mind you, I said he has his own house, his own 3-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood. He also has a best friend. His best friend lives with him, mind you, and has been living with him for however many years that he's like lived there, almost the whole time he's lived there. And so I'm like, if his best friend can live with him, why not his girlfriend, you know? So I'm like, hey, I need a place to stay. Which honestly, in hindsight, I shouldn't even have to ask for that. He knew I was struggling. He should have said, hey, let me take something off of your plate. Like, come stay with me so that you can breathe and get this. If he really cared about me, he would have said that, but he didn't. He sat there and he watched me struggle, and then watched me get to the point where I was like, hey, I just need a break. Like, I'm literally so depressed. I'm losing my mind. I can't find anything. Can you please help me? And he said, no. He said, no. He said, no, you cannot live with me. Mind you, living with him is free. Doesn't cost him anything. He said, no. I can't live with him. At first he goes, oh, I like that we have our own places to retreat to when we get into our arguments. And wrong answer. Number one, when we get into arguments, we never leave. Like, we stay in the same room and we continue to talk it out until we work it through, which I think is a really good habit that we have and a really good green flag that we have in our relationship. Yes, do we get into arguments? So does everyone. Yes, do I lose my cool? I'm a woman, but I rein it back in and we figure it out. And nobody goes home. So that's a weird thing to say. We've never even done that. Second of all, that sounds like a problem to me, not a solution. When we get into arguments, we should not be leaving, because what happens when we get married? There is no way to go. We both live in the same house. So maybe that's not a good habit to start. On our very first date, I told him that I wanted to be engaged within a year. I said, after a year, I want to be engaged. He said that's plenty of enough time for someone to know whether or not they want to get married or not. This is what he said. We have talked about it, I shit you not, probably 10 times throughout this year. And never once did he say, I don't think this is going well enough for that to be a realistic goal anymore. Never once did he say, hey, like, let's pump the brakes. I don't think that we're doing that well for it to get to that. So I'm thinking we're doing well. We're on schedule. After a year or a year and a half, we'll probably get engaged. Then he goes, I don't think I want to live with someone again until I'm married to them, which is some new boundary that he literally just made up, because he's never said that the whole time we've been together. And I go, maybe it's not a good idea that you live with someone after you already got married to them, because what if you guys are not compatible to live together and you don't know that until after you're already married? Then what?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's really dumb, actually. And so I'm like, okay, that's a completely new thing. But granted, it's been a year. We set our goal for a year. Are we going to get married? And he goes, no, that was your goal. Since when was this my goal? It was my goal, but like, I thought we were in agreement, because you never said that we weren't in agreement. Clearly, I made all this up in my head, and this was never a goal. I just thought it was a goal because I continuously talked about it.
I'm not playing with you. I want my eggs cracked, meaning I want a child. I want my name dropped, meaning I want to be married. I'm not around with you. I am not your bed maiden. I am not your maid. I am not your floozy or your. You are going to have to give me something substantial because I know I'm worth that. I'm not all there. Sometimes I have my moments, but I know one thing. I'm good to you.
He never said that it was unrealistic. As a matter of fact, he said the quite opposite, that it was a realistic goal to have. And never once, as we neared to the end of that year, did he ever say, hey, I don't think we're close to being married. So imagine my surprise when he says, I don't think we're close to being married. We still have things to figure out. Because a couple of nights ago, I got super irritated at him and yelled at him and told him to leave my house. And apparently that's enough of a reason for him to be like, whoa, I don't want to marry her. I said, hey, I'm actually scared that I'm going to be homeless because I said, I'm actually thinking I'm going to be homeless because I don't have a job and these bills keep coming and I can't do it no more. I'm tapped out of resources. And I think I'm gonna end up, if you don't let me live with you, I'm gonna end up in my car, living in my car, something like being actually homeless. And he goes, well, plenty of millionaires have lived in their car before.
Oh my God, my Shayla, my Shayla.
What the fuck? So basically he said, yeah, no, I'm not gonna help you. I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. I know it's hard, but basically he told me that you never really do have anybody to depend on and you come alone in this world and you are your own person and you should be your number one priority because nobody else is going to be dependable, which I translate.
So, y'all, it was a whole lot that she told us about this situation, red flags in this matter. And please understand when I comment, give my commentary, this is in no way, shape, or form an attack against this young woman, me trying to belittle or bash her. But this is a lesson that a lot of us could learn from, in particular, young ladies. But there was a lot of things that she said. So this young lady, I want to say she's about 24. The gentleman that she was in a relationship with, she said he was 34. And she said that she's been struggling. And they've been together for, I want to say, she said like 11 months. Said to her man, hey, I lost my job and I have some concerns about the potential of me being homeless. So I want y'all to listen to that because this woman is not homeless yet. And if you go on her TikTok page, she kind of just gives her update of her kind of trying to make do while she figures things out. But I want to say it's quite interesting that she says that she has gone just from making hundreds of thousands of dollars. So she's saying she's a six-figure earner to now having nothing. And I think that that's strange because as a single woman who is making six figures, I'm assuming that you are educated to have been making this type of money on some level. So you, in my opinion, should have made different life choices because there's no way that you should not have any of your own resources. Because she said that she's tapped out of resources. I think you may have your priorities messed up, young lady. Be a boss chick, make all this money and still expect men to take on the burden of all your financial liabilities. It just doesn't make sense. And that's not a good way to want to go into a marriage and a relationship. And it sounds like, this gentleman has boundaries and this young lady has boundaries too. If you go into her page, and I've looked at several of her videos, she makes it plain and clear. If, things get iffy with a man or he seems like he can't spend no money, she's out. And it's quite funny. So you as a woman, and it's not just her, many women will say, if a man can't finance me, he can't feed me, if he can't pay no bills, I'm out. So we can't in turn, men can in turn return the same favor and courtesy to women and create boundaries and say, look, I don't want a liability as a woman. I'm okay with maybe, contributing and helping you out here and there. But he said that he does not want to shack up with a woman prior to marriage. And guess what? That is his prerogative. And it sounds like you entered into this relationship on day one. As a matter of fact, it doesn't sound like you were even in a relationship. It sounds like you all were dating. You told this man, you expect to be married within a year, which, that's cool. You can have that goal. But you don't tell a man when he is to marry you. Men are the ones that propose, and they have a plan for us when it comes down to relationship and us working together as a couple, as a married couple. We don't dictate that. You know, women can go and propose to men all day long, but if the man is not on board as well, and even if a man proposes, you still have to be on board, but you don't get to dictate to that to that man. Expectations out of this man, and where which he did not share the same values and have the same goals with her. See, he never said that he didn't want to get married. It just doesn't sound like he wanted to get married to her. Now, do I think that if you're in a relationship and you or your significant other, if you guys are having situations that it's like a hard no in terms of like not temporarily helping each other, I just think that's a case by case basis. It just depends. A lot of women tell it they are not Barbara the Builder. They are not going to do anything for a man. They want their man to be ready made. So I don't think that it's unfair for a man to expect a woman to be in a situation where she can take care of herself. Now, initially, when I heard this story, I said, well, you know, if you're struggling as a young adult, because I think she's 24, or any adult, you know, and you're not married and you're in a dating situationship or whatever, me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable asking a man, even if we are in a relationship of, you know, 6 to 10 months or however long she's been with this man. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable going to stay with my man. I would more than likely probably ask maybe a family member, or most importantly, you should have your ducks in a row and at least have had some type of emergency savings account or something in place where you could have, you know, have some place to stay temporarily. You know, I don't know if you could stay in a hotel, or again, maybe you could go stay with some family members. But if that was the case and you had to go stay with your man or your woman, I don't think that that's necessarily the wrong thing to do. I just think it depends on your situation, but maybe it's for family. But I listened to her story, and she doesn't have her mother to go stay with because her mother is not in a situation where she can allow her to stay with her. And I want to say that she said that her father was deceased, so that is not an option either. You have these high expectations and you are placing all of these demands on men when the men have never said anything. That man never said that he wanted to marry you. He said that he wanted to be married, but I believe you had it confused as he wanted to marry you. And he was clear. He said he doesn't want to shack up with a woman until he, you know, live with the woman. He wants to be married before he lives with the woman. And I understand, you know, I can empathize with her saying, well, you know, you should want to live with someone before you get married. I personally don't think that that's necessary. My husband and I, we did not live together before we got married. We had our own respective places. Yes, we would spend time at each other's places, but we were both the boundary. You need to have your own place. I'm gonna have my own place. And once we get married, or we're right at that precipice, we are going to move in. And that's what we did. She kept saying we set our goal. There was never any need. You felt entitled. You believed that you were to have access to this man's resources, where as a young adult, you should have something in place for yourself. And he said, I don't want no broke chick. Wild that he told her plenty of millionaires have lived in their cars before. I do think that that's kind of wild. But at the end of the day, I don't think she was wrong for deciding to cut ties with this man. But I also don't think there was anything wrong with him having boundaries. But I was going through her videos. She had this one video from way back in the summertime, probably June or July. And this young lady was talking about another situation and assuming it was with the same boyfriend, because she said she had been with him since February of last year. And this young lady goes on to say, you know, there was a time where she needed to borrow money from him. And this gentleman told her, her man tells her, you know, I expect to have my money by the end of the month. Well, she thought she was slick and that he was going to forget about the money until the end of the month rolled up. And then he said, well, you know, did you get paid? Because I need my coins. I was like, look, I need my money back. You know, we cool, I like you and everything, but unless I'm just giving you the money or I'm doing something kindness of my heart, you specifically asked for some thousands, like it was a few $1,000s, I want to say. And he just was like, you know what? I need my money. And so on and so forth. But if that was an issue, that was a red flag right there. And she actually said that that was an issue. But here she is. She stayed with this man. And I wouldn't be surprised if she still deals with this gentleman even after she's come online and told all their business. Stop making assumptions about where you are in terms of relationships, especially women. It doesn't matter, how much y'all sleep together, how many kind gestures, quote unquote, dates you guys go on, fine dining and all of that. He could do all those things and still not want to be in a serious committed relationship with you, because you are only going off of the things that you really want, which is to look like, you have an aesthetic in your relationship. But there should be no misinterpretation in terms of communication. And I do think that as a young woman and you're not married, you should not be trying to live in no other man's house. Period, in my opinion. Unless you guys are married, y'all should have your own space. What if this was a situation where he was trying to, hold that against you or hold that over your head? I'm not saying that that would be the case, but maybe this worked out for the best for both of them. 25, and men are saying, look, you can't be no brokey messing with me. You're going to have to come correct. I am not doing no handouts, and this is not the shelter. This is not the soup kitchen, and I am not no bank to come correct to be in a relationship with me, because I need a woman that's going to be just as responsible and do the things that they need to do in this relationship, because we know that men do not get that same amount of grace. And I'm not saying that if you're in a relationship that you can't look out for each other on occasion, do certain things, especially if it's in a time of a need. But this young lady don't have a need. She's sitting here talking about the possibility of becoming homeless. She's not even homeless. Unfortunate that she's had to apply for so many jobs, having any luck with any prospects in that regard. But hopefully things turn around for her and she's able to reevaluate herself and her decision making, and especially her money and finances, because you should have something put aside for yourself to keep you afloat. If possible, you don't even have enough money to get you a hotel room and a bite to eat for a week or two, then that's a whole nother conversation. But if you enjoyed my commentary, please leave a like, share this video, as well as consider subscribing to the channel. Until the next video, peace, y'all.
So it is only okay when you do it. Got it. It is only okay when they do it. It's never okay when I do it. It's never okay when I do it. It is only okay. It's only okay when you do it.